Thank you. Well, it's a pleasure to be here this morning with the members of the Subcommittee on Health and our colleague from the Subcommittee on Oversight and Investigations. Ensuring that the Department of Veteran Affairs is fully equipped with a modern, functional information technology system is a priority that we all share. Many of the deficiencies in the IT programs that underlie the VA healthcare system have already been laid out by Chairman Kaufman, and I agree with his comments regarding the urgent nature of the ongoing efforts to modernize the VA scheduling and claims processing. We cannot allow the failures that have characterized previous efforts in these two important areas to continue. We also can't continue to push decisions further down the road. Too often, IT projects have progressed to a critical decision point and then been abandoned in favor of another initiative or another plan. VA must realize that maintaining manual systems and deferring to archaic operating systems as the default cannot continue. We need a sense of urgency. As Chairman Kaufman noted, improving VA IT is also important to community care consolidation. Many of the key features of the VA's plan to consolidate community care under choice will require a contemporary IT infrastructure to support them. The VA has shared little information to date about what IT systems the VA intends to put in place to support community care consolidation, what those systems are going to cost, and when those systems will be up and running, ready to support the needs of veteran patients and the VA's community partners. I hope the VA is prepared to provide that information today at the hearing. I'm also interested in hearing today about how the Veterans Health Administration, managed by Dr. Shulkin, and the VA Office of Information Technology, managed by Ms. Council, are working together to build a modern IT program and the VA healthcare system that we need to serve our veterans. The independent assessment of the VA healthcare system that was required by the Access, Choice, and Accountability Act found that the VHA and the OI&T did not collaborate effectively with respect to planning and executing IT strategies for managing and furnishing health care, and often disagreed on priorities for executing strategic plans. I would venture to say that the disconnect is why so many previous health IT efforts have failed to achieve success. Ensuring appropriate coordination and communication between the VHA and OI&T is vital to moving the VA healthcare system toward the 21st century. I look forward to hearing some specifics from Dr. Shulkin and Ms. Council about how they're personally working together, side by side, to make these things happen. So thank you all for being here this morning, and I'll yield back to Chairman Kaufman.
Thank you. Thank you, Ranking Member Custer. Dr. Benishek, you're now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning. Ms. Council, in the past you've testified that thanks to a joint VA and DOD effort, we expect that interoperability will be certified with the DOD as defined by the 2014 National Defense Authorization Act, 8 months ahead of the December 2016 deadline. Yeah. So that's where we are today. What's the story with that?
We have a interoperability agreed to. We are interoperable with DOD on the JLV, and that took place on April 8th. So DOD and VA have that handshake, and we are fully interoperable 8 months ahead of schedule. In August,
if I go to the VA, then I can get the patient's DOD record for not every veteran, but what's the story? How many veterans actually have access to their DOD if I walk into the VA?
Yeah, so April 8th, we've signed off on it. It is attested. We are interoperable. Today, 55,062 active users in VA and 60,000 users in the Department of Defense are able to do exactly what you're saying, able to get access to the records on any serviceman or member of the VA. And that number will grow to 120,000 during the course of this year of users.
So that's, I mean, VA personnel have access.
55,000 are using it today.
How many veterans are in that?
I actually do have that number. It is, let me get back to you, Dr. Benishek, with the exact number, but I was reviewing it last night. I think it's several 100,000 veterans. Records have already been accessed through the Joint Legacy Viewer.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, that's, you know, the key issue, right?
Yep. Oh, here, I'm
It's
sorry.
1 million, I think.
What? 457, 265 veterans are, oh, that's through the Health Information Exchange. Let me get you the exact number through the Joint Legacy Viewer.
All right, well, you know, you understand the point I'm trying to make is that, so 60,000 VA employees have access, but are there, you know, are we actually taking, is there a significant amount of veterans that we have access to those records? So that's a key issue. I'd appreciate that. The other issue that I'm interested in, and then it's already come up a little bit in testimony, is the self-scheduling piece. I mean, as you know, in the private sector, people schedule their own appointments. So you talked about it a little bit with an app, but that doesn't help most of the veterans that I deal with, because, you know, they can't figure out how to use an app on their phone. You know what I mean? That's just a limited amount of people, I think. So what's the timeline for that, and how is that going to actually work for most people?
Well, you're right. There are two ways to give veterans more control of the experience of scheduling appointments, which is what our goal is, to put healthcare back in the hands of the veterans. So there is the app, and increasingly more and more people are comfortable with smartphones, but even the veteran population does lag behind the general population. So we have to wait until more people catch up on that. The other way, of course, is the telephone. And this past week, we announced something called the Declaration of Access that will put the decision about scheduling and canceling appointments into the hands of the veteran. We have a system right now that's very, what I call paternalistic, which is called a recall system. We actually tell you when you're going to come for your appointment. We're going to stop that.
Yeah, I understand that problem.
Yeah.
So is the eligibility going to be all figured out in advance then? I mean, will the patient have opportunity to schedule an appointment in their locale, in the private sector, or at the VA? Tell me how that's going to work.
Actually, the largest users coming on JLV are actually the VBA and the benefit side, so they can be ahead of the eligibility question. We only expected to have about 35,000 users of JLV, and we are actually numbers keep going up.
JLV again?
The JLV is interoperability capability, so you can see the Joint Legacy Viewer, so you can actually see the eligibility of the active duty soldier and then why they will be eligible as a veteran. It's really important that it's interesting that the VBA is really one of the bigger users now, and that's really helping to make this eligibility happen faster and much more accurately.
I guess I quite understand that, but I'm going to follow up with you later since I'm out of time.
Ranking Member Brownlee. Dr. Benishek, you're now recognized for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I got just a few more questions about where I was when I was asking the questions last time, and you know, this DOD, VA interoperability now. So there was 55,000 VA people who are able to access both DOD and VA records of veterans. We're not sure the amount of veterans that they're actually able to access. Are these health, and I wasn't sure because I think maybe you answered them in different ways. Are these health professionals that have access to this, or are these veteran benefit people that have access? Both. So, and then what percentage of this, I don't know, how many people are we talking about? 55,000, is that, what percentage of that? I mean, is that 10% of the system, or?
Well, of health professionals, you know, it may be as low as 20, 25% of the system.
All right, okay, that's kind of where I was going there.
Yeah.
So there's some definite work to be done there.
Absolutely. Training, yes.
So it's basically a training issue then, you think?
It's primarily a training issue. You have to, it's not easy, at least not easy for me. You have to leave,
So
you
then by
have
the
to go out
deadline
of a
in
system into
December,
a new
you think
system.
we'll have that better then? I mean,
Yeah.
full up to speed then, Ms. Council?
Yeah, it's an integration issue with Vista, and that's one of the reasons we need to get to a new digital health platform. Everything's separate, and that is the root of the issue.
I want to ask another question now. This is still about this self-scheduling thing. So we're not going to, in the consolidation, then we're not going to rely on the third-party people to do the scheduling, or we don't know that yet? Or, I mean, see, I have a problem with the veteran calls, I need an appointment. You know, they get the appointment, and then the eligibility and everything's figured out later. I mean, how's that going to actually work, Dr. Shulkin?
Yeah. We know the current system isn't working the way it should for veterans. No disagreement there. So what we have proposed is a new streamlined system. We've actually released this week a draft RFP to the industry to seek industry partners who could help us do this better. We believe VA can't do this alone. I hear the skepticism. I don't think we're trying to say that we should be doing this alone. So we are seeking, and the RFP will be released, a full one, later on this spring with a selection in the fall, for partners to help us do this better, because frankly, this is what many managed care plans and other companies are doing much better than we are right now.
All right, okay. Let me ask another question. Now, there's this fee-based claim system that, you know, is involved in paying providers in the community, and apparently the VA has this auto adjudication update possibility to speed this along. Do you intend to make that happen, or, I mean, this is the problem with the payment issue?
Yes, we
Story
do.
there.
Yes, we do. As part of the integration for community and care, it includes eligibility, referral authorizations, provider payments, and customer service being tied into one service. So we can see that seamlessly, because it can't be done choppy like it is right now. Right now, it's very human labor intensive.
So is that something that's going to happen soon, or you have to wait till the whole integration's done, or, I mean, can it just be done now, or, and then?
No, I think what we needed were the requirements coming in from the business partners, which we now have. We can make the changes and then upload that system.
All right, well, I'm just got a few more minutes here, so I'm just going to comment. This has been an ongoing issue, and I appreciate you working on all these things, but it seems to me that in the private sector, many of this IT stuff is, these problems are solved, and then the system is improved on a constant basis rather than trying to develop a huge, comprehensive fix, and then, by the time the fix is actually figured out, it's obsolete, So why isn't that more the way we're doing this than what seems to be happening here?
That is actually the way it should work. We have 365 data centers within the VA, 130 instances of Vista, and 834 custom systems. In addition, they're spread out across the 1,500 health systems, and it was built as it went. It looks nothing like what you would see in private industry, and fundamentally what we're laying out is a digital health platform that will get us there. I 100% agree with you. You don't have to get 100% of the solution in place to start. You can start with 20, 30, 40% and just get better over time. But that requires a standard platform. It requires one instance, one solution, and a process that everybody uses, and that was not how the VA was built.
All right. I'm out of time. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.